Hello and welcome to BlockOne Productions. My name is Soma and I am with Lich the Husky. The other day I was watching an interview with one of my favorite producers, Clayton from the band Cell Dweller, and the record label Fixed, my favorite label when it comes to electronic metal. You should check out bands like The Algorithm and The Annex. In this interview, Clayton showed all his modular gear, including something that I haven't seen in years, the moogerfoogers. The moogerfoogers were a hybrid between a modular synth and a guitar pedal, bringing components like LFOs mixed with audio effects like filters, ring modulators and delays in the form factor of a guitar pedal, all with CV inputs. And when I saw them in the interview, I decided to recreate 6 of them inside of VCV Rack as closely as I could. To recreate them, I had a few considerations. I wanted them to have the same form factor, 45 HP. I wanted them to have a similar structure, enclosed by 2 TD202 to show the name of the moogerfooger, 1 audio input at the start of the pedal and 1 audio output at the end, using Daisy Mix channel by Quantal Audio, 1 bypass module, in this case by Volt, and 1 drive knob at the start of the chain, Tuube by Moog Modular. To recreate them, I followed the diagram in the manuals from the official Moog site, and they are saved as selections, so you can import them to your patch and just connect the audio in and out to your chain. And now let's see them individually. First off, we have the MF101 low pass filter. It has 3 parts, the envelope section, the drive knob and the filter section. It is probably the simplest one. It is a filter and you can control the cutoff frequency using the envelope follower, which takes an audio signal and traces a CV envelope that you can use to control other modules. In the original, you can select between 2 and 4 pole, but since this one uses liquid filter by Audible Instruments, you can select between bandpass, low pass, 2 and 4 pole and 4 pole with a PCA output. This crossfade lets you mix them out between dry and wet signal. I have this little patch to create some drums and chords, and we will be using it to test the moogerfoogers. Let's try the MF101. This is MF102 ring modulator. Again, it has 3 sections, an LFO, the drive knob and the modulator section. The LFO section has an amount knob, in this case it's a PCA, a button to change between a square and sine wave, and of course the rate of the LFO. The modulator section has another oscillator that can be switched from low to high frequency, a knob to select the frequency itself, and a mixer to select the amount between dry and wet. In this case I'm using AMRM as a ring modulator module. The physical version uses a sine wave only, but using LVCO by Moog Audio you can select between other types of waves. Let's listen to it. Let's try MF103 Stage Phaser. The physical version has 3 sections: LFO, drive, and phaser. This probably was the easiest to recreate because there already is a module that does 90% of the job. Just a phaser by Frozen Wasteland already has an LFO built in, a selector for the stages, and I basically just added some knobs to control the LFO frequency, depth, feedback, and resonance. I think this will be a perfect addition to my paper with patch to simulate some cassette or VHS artifacts. Now let's listen to it. The next one is MF104M, Analog Delay. The physical version has 3 sections: delay, mixer, and LFO. In short, it's a delay controlled by an LFO. I decided to use Chronoblock because it has different delay modes, and more importantly because it has a sync tempo CV input to use with your favorite clock, and delay time CV input so you can modulate the time with the LFO. It is important to note that it works in the crossfading mode. In the resampling mode, you will hear these artifacts whenever you change the delay time. And now let's listen to it. The next one is probably my favorite, and ironically it's still a work in progress. It is functional and has some presets, but I haven't found a way to adjust it to 45 HP. I am talking about MF105 MIDI Morph. Morph in this case means Multiple Resonance Filter Array, and it's basically an 8-band equalizer with a sequencer to activate or deactivate each band. While working on this project, I noticed that there are not many parametric equalizers in VCV, so I decided to use PEQ6 by Moog Audio. Sadly, it was either 6 bands or 14, and since the size is a concern, I had to go with 6-band version. For the sequencer, I wanted something with multiple gate outputs and preferably with a built-in pattern selector. In the end, I decided to use enCORE by Bidoo. I used Teleport to sync it with your favorite clock. Just remember that enCORE needs 32 pulses per step, so I suggest using something like Clkd by Impromptu to have a main clock and a clock specifically for enCORE at 32 times the speed. That being said, I programmed some patterns in enCORE, no CV or notes, just gates and the length of the sequence. If you have any suggestion as to which modules I could use to reduce the size, please leave a comment. Now let's listen to it. The last moogerfooger I recreated is the MF108 Clusterflux, a blend of chorus and flanger using a delay and an LFO. The physical version has a delay section, a mixer section, and an LFO section. The delay section has a range button to select between chorus and flanger. In reality, this just changes the delay time. Flange mode goes from 0.6 milliseconds to 10 milliseconds, and phaser goes from 5 to 50. Really interesting stuff how this changes the sound so much. The LFO is used to modulate the time. This button changes between modes, and the knobs change the delay time between the desired range and also the LFO frequency. Let's listen to it. I have a bonus for you. I created one custom moogerfooger, which is pretty similar to the analog delay, but the LFO controls a filter instead of the delay time. I call it the MF106S filter delay. Pretty simple, but it works nice with percussions. Let's listen to it. These moogerfooger recreations will be in my patch storage. The link is in the description. Comment which one is your favorite and if you have any suggestions to improve them, especially the MIDI morph. I would love to read them. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and leave a comment. Follow me on social networks and join my Discord.